mail again, which many of you all know, sometimes secretive, but always really fun-loving. So I thought these things, specifically the OCD, must have been acquired from a series of complex and probably very traumatic life experiences. But then I've spoken to Sister Louise in preparation for this speech. I quickly realised that this is something we've always had. And I mean, to talk about the OCD, anybody who knows Jack will know he's a little bit odd. He has to have things in a certain order, categorised by what, where, when, who, why, and how, and then finally refiling them by how, why, who, when, where, what, before a final reshuffle, turning around, touching the ground, and then what, where, when, who, why, and how, for a final time. We're talking about a guy who arranges his clothes in his wardrobe by colour order, and then subcategorises them by season. And you know, he's been known to switch light switches on and off, but he switches them off several times and on again, but always has to end on an even number. Obviously quite odd, but then his sister recalls about when he was 8 years old, and he was rushed to hospital after sticking the best part of a pack of crayons up his nose. Then he wouldn't leave the hospital until the doctor told him exactly what colour order they came out in. I can obviously see him, like, you know, cross-referencing, you know, well, the green one came out after the third, fourth, orange, you know, need I say more. But then, she also recalled, about the same age, my sister's been a great source, by the way, about the same age, he went to Father Christmas to a grotto, and he wouldn't go in until his sister had confirmed whether she'd seen all the Father Christmas's vetting documentation. And you know, there's nothing like a bit of Christmas cheer, Jack. Later in life, he shared a house with Louise. His sister just sat there, and she said she came home one day and found that, and he accused her of borrowing space cream. And she said, you know, I haven't, how do you know? And he said, because I keep all the toiletries with the labels facing the same way. And you know, come on, Jack, you know, what was it east, west, north? I'm sure there was some order to it. And finally, quite weirdly, they found a pile of papers in your room with a number plates written down on it, quite thick. And it was every single number plate that your mum had ever had in terms of owning a car. And when they asked you about it, you said, you can't be too careful. You've got to say more about the OCD. You can never write that numbers down. That's very true. But you know, going back then, that's the OCD, but then the Metro Mail, you know, I've had to witness him wax his toes last night. I found the definition on the internet, which summed it up really, is Metro Mail, a term applied to men who displays levels of care and pride in their appearance, which is usually associated with women. Usually. Who are deemed not to be homosexual. I hope that helps in some way, Vicky. The earlier reference to face cream is only the start. Apart from the toe waxing, which is obviously very weird, I've never met a man like it. He has his own pair of GHD hair straighteners. He also is a gold member of the local tanning shop. You might notice his pre-wedding investment if he wasn't so ready. Nick here today has been a great help with a few stories. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, they said he went on a ski trip together, and I must admit I had difficulty imagining Jack on skis with all that troublesome wind and snow, dampening down the hair, straightening, until Nick said that he spent most of the trip covered in baby oil in the mountain restaurant. He also recalled that Jack came into the hotel one morning complaining of a rash on his chest. Don't you remember this, Jack? He stripped off in front of a load of bemused breakfast guests in the hotel to consult with mates, and said, "Nick, you're good at this sort of stuff." Well, I've seen this rashes on my chest, and Nick said quite quickly the cause was quite apparent, as it was a shaving rash.
I was a bit worried at this.
And secretive, a little bird tells me that you went on a show called Love at First Sight. For those of you who are not well, wasn't aware, but this is a Sky version of Blind Date. It was presented by Bruno Brooks in the 1990s. And the show entailed 3 men and 3 women who answered questions into a computer. But then go to a commercial break. Well, no doubt, obviously leaving the audience on tenterhooks, while the computer called Cupid was, do you know that? would match up all the contestants. And Jack's gaming skills again became quite useful as he actually matched up to all 3 contestants. Obviously the female ones. But as previously referenced, Nick used to work as an estate agent, and Nick over there was his manager. He frequently used to make up appointments to Skype off work. I know firsthand because it was usually to meet me for a drink. But Nick recalls one time Jack made up an entire Saturday of appointments, false ones obviously, to go play golf with Stu, Hanko and a few others. After playing, Nick called you to see where you were, and you answered the call and said you were too busy, you couldn't take the call because you were on your way to your next appointment. But Nick never revealed that he was actually watching you take the call in the back of Stuart's car, later the golf club on the M5. He happened to be in the car behind. Just by complete chance. Yeah, he was. So the other thing is fun, and I never realised, and spoke to Louise again, that he was such an animal lover as a child. You had 2 budgies named Betty and Benji. Named Tom, and balls and stuff, and things, and a fish. You used to walk around the house with 2 budgies, I can visit you now, perched on either corner of your glasses. And an obviously very, very, very well-disciplined cat.
How do you know that those budgies weren't actually part of the glasses? It was all a...
No, they were real.
I've got a lot of information. Okay. But I think it was about Louise's information, about 17 before you admitted you actually had an animal allergy rather than hay fever that you've been claiming for the 17 years that you had. But as you grew older, which is quite worrying, you turned your attention to pranks, which I can relate to knowing you now. And you would put cling film over the toilet seat to catch out your family. Quite worrying.
I only did it to my sister.
You used to tie cotton between lampposts to rock innocent passers-by. You would think nothing of covering yourself in tomato ketchup, laying on the floor for hours until somebody walked in. And I have to say, Jack, and I'm a bit embarrassed to say, I think you went a little bit too far to give your sister a shock when she returned home one day to actually poo in her own driveway.
I was very young, I was 15.
I mean, everybody knows here, all his friends, he gets a little grumpy. He's left here today, somewhere on the back nine of a golf course.